Bahrain circuit showcase who does or doesn't have the ability and participate in a championship fight this season. Like I already said, we are at Bahrain. We have done one race already this season. It was at Montreal, and it was a very interesting race to say the least. There was a lot of carnage that went on throughout, a lot of very angry drivers throughout as well. But as it stands right now, we have our first race in the bag. Going to go ahead real quickly and bring up the standings as they are right now. At the top of the points sheet is XRL Low with 25 points, followed by XRL Raptor with 18, Yun Maneuver with 16, Ollie with 12, Torpedo with 8, Beastian with 6, Jabez Jan has 1 point, and Collie Boy also has 1 point. There was a win, basically, by a McLaren driver. However, that ended up getting taken away in the end, so ended up having no actual effect in the actual way the points championship went. So as of now, we're only one race in. It's really hard to tell who is actually going to be performing at a top level. One thing that's not going to be hard to tell, though, is that this first round of qualifying, we only have 15 drivers starting this race. Maybe a 16th will join in the middle of qualifying. But as it stands right now, only 15 drivers. What that means is that Q1 is basically going to be a glorified test and practicing session, because all you have to do is just set a lap. Doesn't matter what lap it is, just set a lap, and you will automatically be in to the next round. Because the top 15 fastest to get to advance into Q2. We only have 15 people here in Q1, so everyone should be able to advance, assuming that no one crashes out in qualifying, and everyone doesn't have to serve a qualifying ban for the race. There are 3 drivers who are reserved who said that they were going to show up. They have not yet joined the lobby, and we're hoping that they will take an attempt to join a little bit later on. To go ahead and now have a little fancy graphics and stuff up. Just waiting right now to see who the first driver is going to be who will get out onto the circuit. And there's your answer. It looks like it's going to be the Haas of Elf Frisbee will be the first driver to come out onto the circuit, and he will be followed afterwards by this man here, XRL Ollie. Then the second Haas of Elf and Starfish is a little bit behind. Starfish crashed out in qualifying during last week's race and was not able to make the race itself, and that let Elf Frisbee step in and end up taking home the victory in that car. Now we also see Mr. Anderson has come out onto the circuit, and now XRL Raptor in the Mercedes is also merging onto the track as we speak. So Ollie positioned himself to be the first driver to set a lap time in the session. Every single time XRL comes here, I always want to go ahead and gush about one thing I absolutely love about Bahrain, and it's the way that this circuit is set up. So Sector 1, 2, and Sector 3 are very plainly focused more on speed. But one thing I love as we go ahead and swap to follow XRL 19 here, is he dives into Sector 2. From this corner down, all this is downhill. Everything through this sector of the circuit is focused on mechanical grip, how well the car grips up and grabs the track. It's absolutely fascinating. You got a hairpin and then a near hairpin corner. We just saw the Williams come out of that. You come downhill, dive into this hairpin, and then you have a short straightaway. It's a DRS straight that is perfect for showcasing the acceleration ability that your car has. Right now, 19's not really laying on it really hard because he knows that it's just a warm-up lap. Then at the end of this, you have a series of uphill corners, almost like an uphill set of S's that you get gradually faster through. It showcases the ability of the downforce and aerodynamic trim of the car, and it stays that way all the way until you get to the second to last corner on the circuit. I absolutely love Bahrain simply because Sector 2 alone is a wonderful showcase of the three of the four distinct strengths that a Formula 1 car can have. Mechanical grip, aerodynamic grip, and acceleration. The only real exception is top line speed, and you get that primarily in Sector 1 and Sector 3, as we see XRL19 now rounding the corner. A little bit further back on the circuit, this here is XRL Beastian. He is still running that white Honda Red Bull livery at the moment. It's about half of the cars on the track are out, either setting laps or about to set a lap. Torpedo and Flavor, Young Maneuver have yet to do it. Young Maneuver did not get to attend last week's race, but he is here today. Considering this is going to be a roughly 23 race season, it's going to be very nice for him because he does have time to make up ground in the championship and fight for the title if he believes he can do so. Starfish right now as he is on the middle of his own lap, but farther up, this is level 6 Beastian. What we're going to do is Ollie sets the fastest time. He'll set the pace for the moment with a 128.890. But what we're going to do is we're going to go silent and ride up on a little bit more with this man here and see what the Red Bull Honda do here at Bahrain. Well, you saw it right there, folks. We were riding on board with level 6 Beast in the middle of his qualifying lap, but then coming up to the second to last corner, the rear end went out on him and went right into the inside wall. The good news for him is that the damage to that car is extremely minor, and that he should be able to continue and set a lap without too much of an issue, as XRO Raptor is elected to retire in the pit lane. In fact, as that Red Bull goes by, I only see a little bit of winglet damage, so he got very lucky there. So now, we end up changing our focus. Instead, from Beastian to Flavor, we're going to try and ride on board the lap for XRL Flavor instead to see if we can get an idea from him as to what a flying lap is like here at Bahrain, hopefully this time without an accident. Alright, and that's a full lap on board with XRL Flavor. He's just a 130.995, but that honestly could have been a much faster lap time. But in the same area that his teammate, Level 6 Beastian, had a bit of a spin on, we saw XRL Flavor have his own issue, have to back way out as the car washed up the track. He chased the car up the circuit so that way the rear wouldn't go around on him. It's going to be a great job on his part being able to save the car, but it's not a very solid lap time. Again, though, with only 15 drivers on track at the moment, that might not mean too much, because everyone here should be able to advance to the next round of qualifying without issue, assuming they all set a lap time. We are anticipating at least one more driver to show up before the race itself starts. Now, Frisbee has gone ahead and retired in the pit lane, as Lowe is in the middle of his lap now in the Ferrari. Lowe, center of a lot of controversy last week, a very aggressive driver, but then he went out and called out multiple other drivers for an accident that he was in, that took him out of the race at Montreal, saying that the driving standards were extremely low and that they were racing too aggressively, which some other drivers found very interesting, if not outright hilarious, because he himself was considered one of the more aggressive drivers on the track. So now he's trying to fight back, showcase that his aggression has merit to it, and that he does have enough speed and pace to make it to the end of a race. And he'll have to do that here by staying a good lap in Q1. Any sort of underwhelming performance at this point in qualifying definitely won't reflect well off of his bravado that he showcased last week. Here comes Lowe across the line. He'll be the 10th driver to set a lap time. It's a 128.01. The only driver to have broken the 128 barrier thus far is Raptor. But again, this session doesn't really mean as much as normal. All 15 of these drivers will make it in the next round of qualifying without issue. So a lot of these drivers, there's no need to push hard. And you can see Level 6 Beastian has elected to retire with a 150.568 simply because he sees that with only 15 drivers, he will advance in without too much of an issue. I'm going to go ahead and try to get Level 6 Beastian into here real quickly and talk to him. Right now, CVTX Mask is in the middle of an outlap as Zola, Torpedo, and Young Maneuver are all in the middle of laps right now. Torpedo just about to finish his lap. There you are, Torpedo with a 2-minute 30. So no real attempt on his part to go for a serious lap. Alright, and coming into the party right now is Level 6 Beastian. Beastian, if you would, please go ahead and include your audio. Obviously, 15 drivers, and all 15 of you are going to advance to the next round, but in your first lap here in Q1, you had a spin entering Sector 3. What happened out there?
I wasn't taking it seriously, just went around, and it took a, just lost focus and just spun right there, just having problems with it. So it's 15 people going through, so I didn't see the point of people to go taking a chance and crashing out again. So just get ready for Q2, I guess. Alright,
so you say that you just kind of weren't paying attention and it went around. We saw your teammate, XRL Flavor, have almost the exact same issue happen one lap later, so I do have to ask, could it be something with the way that the Red Bull is set up handling-wise?
Yeah, could be, but that whole section I've had problems with, so I can't really say for him, but for me it's just whenever you put the power down there's no feedback, so just going by guess that you have enough traction. So going up that hill, if you put the power way too quickly, the car will just spin out on you, and the only thing you can do is just wait and hope you don't crash out. So once that happened for me, I was like, yeah, forget it. It's not worth the risk. If I'm going to take that kind of risk and crash out, I'd rather do it in Q2. If I crash out in Q1, then yeah, that's just an idiotic play.
Alright, well, I do want to say very quickly thank you for being willing to jump in and share your thoughts and experiences. Hopefully, we won't have to talk to you again until the race is over.
I hope not. Thanks, man. See you later.
Alright, so that's the word from Level 6 BC, and right now he has a time of 1 minute 50.568 on the timesheets. That's the second slowest, but again, with everyone here, they're all anticipated to make it into Q2 without issue. Right now, it's just a matter of this man here and the remaining Ferrari, Jay Biscan. What can he do on this lap? One interesting thing to note thus far is that CVTX Mask is on circuit with a set of medium tires, and Frisbee and Starfish also set their lap times on medium tires. What that means is that obviously their laps are slower, but they will have one extra set of softs that they can choose to use in either Q2 or Q3, or maybe they're willing to forego a set of mediums in the race itself and just go even farther with more sets of soft tires. It's an interesting strategy, but it's one to show that they're trying to think farther ahead and save as many of the fastest tires as they can for later on in this race. Mask low on fuel as he's crossing the line. He's going to go for another lap here. So I have to wonder if maybe they're trying to get a feel for what that Alpine will feel like at the end of a fuel run. As Jay Biscan comes out of the final corner, he will be the 15th and final driver to set a lap time. It will be a 1:28.660, and that's it. All 15 of these drivers will now advance to the next round without issue. Return focus CVTX Mask once again. Curious to see if he's going to pit at the end of this circuit or not. There are 5 cars out on the track right now. So we're going to go ahead and try to get word from one other person out here on the track right now and see if they'd be willing to express their anticipation for the race. At the moment, only 3 cars on track, a Red Bull, this year Alpine, and the Ferrari Jay Biscan, who is on a cooldown lap right now. It looks like CVTX Mask is going extremely slow, and he will be coming in. Alright, coming in the party right now is XRL Raptor. Raptor, go ahead and include your audio. I'll try and keep this relatively quick. Right now, fastest lap time at the end of Q1. However, it's likely you may be the only person trying to push for it. I got to talk with you briefly through Discord before this race started. You have very high hopes for yourself in this race. Would you care to elaborate why you have such a high expectation for yourself in today's event?
Well, in the practice sessions that I've done so far, the car has been extremely comfortable. It just feels like everything's clicking, and throughout the time that I've raced in XRL and XRL, Bahrain has been one of my...
I'm about to get on the phone. I need you to hush.
I apologize. Bahrain has been one of my more solid tracks, and I'm looking forward to proving why I should be on the podium and why I will be a contender this season.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to you performing that. I'll go ahead and let you go because Q1 is about to come to an end anyway.
Alright, sounds good. Thank you.
Alright, as we currently follow the only car on track right now, this is XRL Flavor. Yes, his fastest lap time thus far has been a 1:29.264, which would set him at 9th fastest at this point in the session. He's down by about 4 seconds, so this is obviously a cooldown lap coupled with the fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of fuel and he's just trying to pedal it back to the pit lane. So with this in mind, it's very likely that we will see an end to this qualifying session about the time that the clock normally elapses rather than going past like it normally does. Here comes Flavor into the pits now. Alright, and we see them pushing the Red Bull into the pits. Q1 comes to a slightly earlier than normal end, and there are the drivers who will advance. All 15 of them will advance. We are anticipating one more driver who could show up in the race itself, but will miss qualifying. Excuse me. Alright, now we begin to load into the circuit for Q2. And there you are on the track. You can see the first three cars to get on the circuit, all Ferrari powered, and Elfin Starfish immediately overtaking and pinching off his teammate Frisbee to try and get ahead of him. He wants as much clean track as possible in that Haas machine. Raptor is now merging onto the circuit back there in Sector 1 as well. You can see him making the turn. But Starfish trying to come out pit lane like a cannon. All clean track ahead of him for the moment. Right behind him is his teammate Frisbee. If these two are going to stay close together, then we may see a little bit of DRS shenanigans. There are 3 DRS zones and then one other long straight, which, while not a DRS zone, you can definitely get a pretty strong draft off of. So we may see Starfish trying to do something with his teammate Frisbee here on the first lap of qualifying Q2. Going uphill. Frisbee's backed off from Starfish just a little bit. If he wants to get the advantage of the draft, he needs to get a little bit closer. Should be close enough now. So he should be able to get a little bit of a draft off of his Haas teammate. Not a very powerful one, but a little bit, and will help significantly. And as they run out of the final corner, and begin their first laps. Ride silently on board Frisbee for this circuit. You can see right there, folks, it did work out a little bit in Frisbee's favor to run in his teammate Starfish's draft. He ended up saying a time that was about 27 hundredths faster than his teammate. But at the top is still Raptor, once again, the only driver to break the 128 barrier thus far in the session. However, there is someone else we need to take note of, and that's Jabezlon and Level 6 Beastian. These two drivers are setting their laps on the medium tires. So, we'll get to see how the mediums can stack up against the softs here very shortly. Torpedo had mediums equipped in the pit lane, but he has gone to softs. Now, they can't seem to figure out in the Alpine camp what tire compound that Torpedo should be having on his car. Let's see, one of the Haas's has pulled over to let the Red Bull of Beastian through. Now we come up to the corner. Beastian had his spin here last time around. Not nearly an issue here, although he does run a little bit wide. No issue. He's still able to continue. This is not going to be a very fast lap, though, considering he let off significantly early on. And that's a spin by the Williams of XRL19. He has a spin going down into the hairpin right before the short back straight. He is already back underway, though. No damage to that car. This is only his outlap, so it won't really compromise or cost him anything. Jabezlon has crossed the line to begin his lap. Whoa, a set time of 128.212. Ollie, a set time of 128.359. Ferrari engines have second through fifth on the grids, but it's a Mercedes power plant that's currently on top. Torpedo, Zola, 19, and Mask are all in the middle of laps right now. Outlaps, that is, as 19 crosses the line and will now begin a flyer, so he seems to think that he did no damage to his tires in that little spin on the prior circuit. He will overtake the Red Bull of Flavor. Zola also has now begun his lap, as has Jabezlon, who is in the middle of his lap right now. That remaining Ferrari is currently in Sector 3. So Beastian's time was not really valid to showcase what the medium tires can or can't do compared to the softs, but Jabezlon will be crossing the line shortly here and we'll get a better idea. As we watch 19 come onto the back straightaway, no spin by the Williams this time. Jabezlon only sets a 129.360 on the medium tire, so it's not looking very good for the drivers with the mediums. Beastian has set a 130.721, so the softs are resolutely destroying the mediums on pace right now. Into the last corners comes XRL 19, formerly known as XRL Ledger. With soft tires, he'll set a time of 128.414. That's the fourth fastest time thus far. The second fastest by all the Mercedes power plants. Zola in the middle of a lap on the mediums. He'll be the ninth driver to set a time in the session, and will not be a very competitive time. Again, 129.660. Torpedo has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of. Flavor's in the middle of a good lap right now. Young Maneuver and Mr. Anderson are on outlaps, and Frisbee has come back onto the circuit. He wants to go faster. This is CVTX Mask, as he is on the short back straightaway right now. That's the Ferrari Jabezlon also, who is there in Sector 3. Mask in the Alpine. The only Renault-powered engine in the grid. Fuel is flashing, so this is it. This will be his only lap. He ran that fuel tank very, very lean. cannot afford to invalidate in this final corner. He won't. Coming to the line, the DRS pops open. He will set a lap time of 1:27.845. That makes him the second driver thus far to break the 1:27 barrier. Ryan Hurricane and Extra Flavor will be the next drivers to set lap times here. Flavor with the soft tire compound, he'll go ahead and set a lap time of 1:29.248. So that would be the slowest of everyone with the sauces car, but still resolutely faster than everyone on the medium tires. And now here comes Ryan Hurricane. We're anticipating he should also end up with a 1:28 or 1:27, 6, 7, and 28. So 1:28.854. So the medium tires have absolutely nothing they can do against the drivers with the softs. Mr. Anderson is now beginning his lap, and lucky for him, he is right behind his teammate Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver has the medium tires on his car, though. So Anderson's going to be faster than Young Maneuver in the corners. This could be very interesting, as Young will be giving his teammate an aerodynamic draft throughout the straightaways, assuming that Anderson does not have his time seriously compromising the corners. Oh, Young goes off circuit. That's it for that. But Anderson does have the advantage of at least going down the first full DRS zone on a lap with that help, so that should help him a little bit, assuming he doesn't throw it away. Rear end of the car seemed to step out a little bit as he came onto the back straightaway now. Now he begins going uphill. Into the final sector. Torpedo still committing to the medium tires. Young Maneuver had a little bit of a slide. I'm not sure if he was trying to let his teammate by or if he had an incident of his own in sector 2. But Young Maneuver is still also out there on the mediums. Anderson, 129.777 with the soft tire compound, so he needs to significantly improve. Young Maneuver is aborting his attempt, so something must have gone wrong there. Torpedo about to begin his lap, but as it stands right now, it's not even remotely a fight. The soft tire compounds are significantly faster than the mediums across the entire track. There is no comparison whatsoever. Mr. Anderson is the slowest of everyone who has set times on the softs with a 129.777, but Jabascan is on the bubble with 129.360, and then Zola and Beastian are both on the outside looking in with the mediums. Everyone else is, though, here's the thing though, those drivers have elected to go ahead and throw on soft tire compounds to go faster. So for Torpedo, with only 3 minutes left in the session, unless he has something really special up his sleeve, I think he's going to have to consider aborting this lap immediately and throwing on sauce if he wants a serious chance to make it into Q3. Only the top 10 drivers will advance. Jabascan is on the bubble with a 129.360. Jabas set that time on the medium compound tires. The driver in 9th, XRL Flavor, set his on the softs. So Flavor doesn't have a whole lot of recourse if he gets squeezed out here. Young Maneuver in the pit lane has elected to throw on the soft tire compounds. So he's going to be going on the softs. Try and get in. Ollie retires in the pits. He feels confident with the time that he has set thus far. Watching Torpedo right now, he will be the last driver to set a time on the medium tires. .039, so the softs are significant, so much faster than the mediums that it seems like even spending any time on the mediums is basically a death sentence. So for the drivers who elected to go ahead and use a set of mediums in Q1 may have a little bit of advantage because they basically got a free set of softs that they could have used here. Young Maneuver is out on circuit right now in the middle of a lap. Just ahead of him is his teammate, Mr. Anderson, but they are not close enough to be for Anderson to be giving his teammate Young Maneuver a draft. Anderson is currently on the bubble to 128.994, so he can't exactly afford to wait up a bit and let his teammate go by or let his teammate close up. Not to mention Young Maneuver is on a outlap at the moment. Now, Zola and Jabascan have both broken the 127 barriers. They are 128 barrier there into the 127s, but no one has gotten lower than 127.8 except for XRO Raptor. He is still in the pit lane. Feels very confident with his time at the moment, I imagine. Maneuver has backed off significantly, so Anderson will not have any bearing on his lap. This will be Young Maneuver's only attempt at a lap here in this session. Ryan Hurricane, who is 10, is going to begin a lap shortly here. He is currently coming out of Sector 3. Torpedo is in the middle of a lap, but he is down significantly. Something has gone wrong. He's going to have to rush to get to the start-finish line if he wants another shot at this. Level 6 Beastian is up by nearly half a second at the end of Sector 2, but he has invalidated. He invalidates there, so he has 34 seconds to get back to the start-finish line and go again if he wants to go any faster. Young Maneuver in the middle of his only shot at this year. It's clean track ahead of him now that he's cleared the Haas. Beastian, will he get to the line in time? The answer is a yes. What about the Ferrari of James Dawn? Dawn is aborting his attempt. He will not try and go faster. Will Zola be able to make it to the line and try to go for a faster final lap? No, he will abort, and the clock is over in the session. Elfin Starfish is currently 9th, trying to stay in. But that car is out of fuel. It's not looking good for his chances whatsoever. Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of the lap trying to get off the bubble as Beastian and Young Maneuver are putting pressure down, and they may be able to squeeze both Ryan Hurricane and Elfin Starfish out of the top 10 and out of the shootout for the pole. Here comes Young Maneuver out of the final corner now. The DRS opens up on the Aston Martin. His teammate Mr. Anderson won't make it in. Will Young Maneuver do it? No! Only a 128.952. Ryan Hurricane versus level 6 Beastian. That is going to be the shootout for the line. Here comes Hurricane to the line. He is up by nearly 3/10. He will jump ahead of Elfin Starfish. So now Starfish is going to have to hope that his time is good enough to hold Beastian at bay. And he invalidates the same corner they had the crash at prior. The same corner that Flavor had wash up in earlier as well has now cut out the Red Bulls again. Neither Red Bull and neither Aston Martin will advance into Q3. And Elfin Starfish is safe. Agony and frustration in the Red Bull camp as neither of their drivers are able to advance. Well, this is going to be a really boring race, so apparently they're not going to give us a chance to get any other people joined into the lobby, sadly. Alright, and there's your lineup of drivers who advance. It will be Raptor, CVTX Max, Zola, Jabaston, Low, Frisbee, Ollie, 19, Hurricane, Starfish, all advance. Young Maneuver, Mr. Anderson, XO Flavor, Torpedo, and BCM will not advance. Most notably of all, the medium tires significantly off pace compared to the softs. So we are now entering our final round of qualifying. And once again, it will be the Haas's of Elfin Starfish who will be the first to get onto the circuit. Frisbee also trying to get out, but he's not going to be the first out this time. There are two other Ferrari-powered engines out there on the circuit before he could get out there. And it looks like there's going to be a bit of a traffic jam a little bit farther back. Nearly everyone is rushing to be the first guy out onto the circuit, it would seem. Frisbee has a bit of a gap between himself, though, and the next car up. That will be the Ferrari of no, not the James Bond, that's low instead, I'm sorry. Ollie is second, but right now it's this man here, Elfin Starfish, who has nothing but clean circuit ahead of him. As we're now seeing Davis Khan and CVTX Mask making their move out of the pits, as is XRL Raptor. So everyone is going to be on track at roughly the same point in time. A lap here is about a minute and a half, so you can figure that it takes you to do 3 laps. You're going to end up burning up about 4.5 minutes of time. There's just enough time for everyone to set about 2 laps here, maybe 3 if you cut it close, and your final lap is as the clock is winding out. Coming into the final corner, this is Elfin Starfish, as he will now begin his lap. A little bit of shenanigans going on in the Williams camp. We're going to ride on board with 19. He is in the draft of his teammate Ryan Hurricane, and will try to utilize this as an advantage to get a faster time in the session. In the draft of his teammate. So does Ryan pull him around the entire circuit or only through Sector 1? Only down the main straight as Ryan Hurricane completely blows Turn 1. That will open up the track though for 19. So 19 does have the advantage of getting a great draft down the straight. And there's been an incident. That's Starfish, who has had a spin there in Sector 2 on the run downhill. Hilariously enough, his lap is still legal. So he can still continue to set a lap time, but it won't be a very competitive one to say the least. In fact, this now turns it to XRL Ollie. He will be the driver that everyone's going to be chasing here. And no, I take that back, because Ollie has come to a stop there on the back straightaway. So now it goes to Low. Low will try and be the first driver to set a time here in Q3. 106.091 at the end of Sector 2. All 10 drivers in the middle of a lap right now, so they're all going to cross the line at about the same time and put times on the board, assuming they have not invalidated. Ollie pulls over again to let more drivers by. He does not feel confident with the amount of space he's been given. Lowe says a time of 127.973. Then comes the Haas machines. It will be Frisbee with a 128.249. Starfish has invalidated his lap. Then it will be XRL 19 with a 128.488. Ollie with that 145 as he's let off multiple times. Zola with a 128.008. Now we see here comes Ryan Hurricane. He is going to come into the pits. He will abort his lap time. Then you have Jabez John coming across the line. He'll set at 128.656. Next will be Raptor, who's been the fastest in Q1 and Q2. He will go ahead and set a lap time of 1:27.204, by far the fastest we've seen this entire session. Starfish and CVTX Mask have yet set up times. As I say, that Mask sets a time of 1:27.681. Starfish has to go another lap to get it going, and he has invalidated this one as well. So it's not looking good for him because he is out of fuel. So his entire first attempt to set times are not going to be valid. Ollie has invalidated his lap as well. So for Ollie and Starfish will have to go again. Ryan Hurricane actually will have a little bit of advantage. He came into the pits relatively early, so the track should be a little bit cleaner when he comes back onto the circuit. Assuming he gets onto the circuit shortly, because most of the drivers on track will likely be coming in all at about the same time. As we look at Elfin Starfish, we know he's going to have to come in. He's low on fuel and the lap is invalid right now. We're assuming his teammate Frisbee will do the same. Yes, he does. Now here comes Ollie. He is also going to be coming into the pits, and we imagine, no, Ollie is going to stay out. Ollie says that he has enough fuel to make one more shot at this. But Zola has come in. The Ferraris are coming in. 19 is coming in. Anticipating Mask and XRL Raptor will both come in as well. No movement yet from Ryan Hurricane to get out onto the circuit. But right now, Ollie is what all the eyes are on. Ollie oxen free. And the circuit ahead really is free of oxen, free of cars, free of people, free of everything that might compromise his lap here. It's him versus circuit, 100%, as all 9 other drivers are on pit lane. Into the hairpin. Fuel is not very high on the car. He waited until there was basically no one around him to set this lap down. One of the Haas drivers, I believe that's Starfish, is now beginning to merge back out onto the circuit. Here comes Ollie down the only non-DRS straight here on the circuit. So just because of the amount of time left, this will likely be Ollie's only chance at a lap here. As he comes to the line, it'll be a lap time of 1:28.602. That will be the 7th fastest time today. As Elfin Starfish is out on circuit in the middle of an outlap right now. Ryan Hurricane has not yet made an attempt to get back onto the track. Down to the hairpin. Now onto the short back straightaway, but again, he is on a cooldown lap, and Ollie, he is low on fuel. He's already down 4/10 at the end of Sector 1 alone. So we're not anticipating Ollie to go any faster. No other action on track right now. Ollie is on a cooldown lap. Starfish is on a warm-up lap. Four minutes left in the session, roughly. We're right on board with Starfish as he begins his lap. Alright, he finally sets a lap time, but it's not a very competitive one, only 1:28.673. He has enough fuel to go another lap, but he may not have the ERS to make full advantage of it. Raptor has retired from the qualifying session, so he feels very confident with his time that no one else is going to beat him. Ryan Hurricane has finally started an outlap. Zola, Frisbee both cross the line to try and go faster. There we are. We're seeing the fuel light now flashing on Starfish's car. So this may be it. He might not have another shot at a lap here. In fact, this lap might not even be a good shot either. Uphill through Sector 2. So will Starfish make a lap out of this? He is up in time. He's up enough that would put him up into 7th if he can keep it up on this lap. But the ERS is just about burned out on him. He'll recharge a small amount under braking going into the final corner, but he's going to be at about 0% ERS at the line. What will he do? He will set a lap time of 128.550, so he improves by about 1/8 of a second. That will push him up to 7th. Ryan Hurricane has not set a single lap time until now. Track is relatively clear ahead, but first driver to cross the line is going to be Zola. He's already up by a little bit. He's going to go up by a little bit more, but he's still only 3rd fastest at the line. Then here comes Frisbee. He crosses the line to begin his lap. 19 pulling over on the final straight, well, the non-DRS straight, so that way he can get clean track ahead and not hamper the laps of the Ferraris. That's Jabascon in the middle of the lap. Here comes Lowe. He's up by about 2/10 at the end of Sector 2. He jumps up to a 127.556. That's the 2nd fastest time we've seen thus far. Here comes Ryan Hurricane. He finally sets the time, but it's only a 128.608. Time's up. Over. Plow. Now Jabascon jumps up to 3rd with a 127.572. So now the focus goes to Ollie. Ollie didn't gain a lot of time in Sector 1, but not very many people do. Sector 2 is where we're anticipating to see him gain the most time here. He's up by nearly a third of a second. He's up by over 3/10 as he's now on the run down the non-DRS straight here. Pops open. He'll set a lap time 128.322. That's the 7th best thus far. Zola and Frisbee are going to be crossing the line shortly. Frisbee very nearly out of fuel. Zola, when he crosses the line, he's actually a little bit slower. Frisbee may be up on time just a bit. No, he loses time in the final sector. Starfish is out of fuel pretty much. He's just trying to get to the pits and stay out of everyone else's way. And Ryan Hurricane has had a spin on his lap. Ryan Hurricane has had a spin going uphill, so he will not be able to improve whatsoever. His teammate XRL19 is down by 81 hundredths at the end of Sector 2. Does he gain any of that back here? That's a negative. Well, no, he does. He actually gains up a bunch of time, but it still only leaves him 8th. Now, with Ryan Hurricane having invalidated, that's it. The session is over unless Lowe pulls out a monster lap, and that's not going to happen because he's out of fuel. So the session is over, and XRL Raptor dominates Q1, dominates Q2, dominates Q3. And he will easily be your pole setter here at Bahrain. There is your top 10 starters. A reminder, all 10 of these drivers will be starting on soft tires in the race. There's not really a whole lot of interesting tire strategy thus far. The softs are just so much faster than the mediums that everyone's going to be starting on the softs, unless you're in the back of the field, in which case you may be able to take the advantage of having fresh mediums on or fresh hards. But in that scenario, if that happens, in that scenario, we'll be looking at, kind of irrelevance at the start because you're not going to be able to keep pace with everyone ahead on the softs for the first several laps. So we're getting word that we'll be going green in about 6 minutes' time. For the moment, we're just standing by until we get the race itself underway. But a very, very strong performance by Mercedes driver XRL Raptor. Only Mercedes in the field thus far today, but it is anticipated that he is going to maybe even walk off with this day. I was talking to him briefly in Discord before this race got underway. He said that he was able to set a lap time in the 126s during time trial practice. So that obviously doesn't immediately reflect to the race, but if he feels that he had set 126.1 in time trial, and he's been setting times way faster than everyone else here in the race itself, it may be very likely that the only way someone's able to beat him is going to be on strategy or him getting screwed with pitting and then yellow flags. And that seems to be the way it is right now for XR Raptor. If he can pull off this victory, it would be amazing for him. He has not won in XRRL. He has come close several times in the exhibition/testing races, and in last season he was without a doubt one of the worst drivers, to say the least. In that Mercedes, he had numerous crashes, only finished about 8 of the 20 races that season. So this could end up being very interesting if he can pull this off and take home a victory, going from basically a 0 to a hero, if he can do it. But again, there are other drivers to consider. Ferraris have extremely fast pace here, and there's 2 of them, so there could be a little bit of strategy and shenanigans going on there potentially as well. Just standing by for the moment, waiting to get onto the circuit. We should be getting on there in about a minute's time as we go ahead real quickly and bring up race directors so we can see, again, top 10 all starting on softs. But of note, our 13th and 14th place drivers, Flavor and Torpedo, they're electing to start on medium tires. Everyone else is going to be starting on the softs today. And there you can see it. As the clock is counting down, getting underway will be a smaller field than normal. 15 cars taking the field today. As we turn our focus to the racetrack once more. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, and away we go here at Bahrain. And right off the bat, XRL Raptor is going to try and out-drag Low on the way down to turn 1. But it looks like the Ferrari is a little bit faster. There's a Honda having an instant farther back, but Raptor is going to lose the top spot to Low going into turn 1. He can't fight back, it would seem. Now the Alpine is looking for, and he's around. Our pulsators are running throughout the entire field. And Raptor goes from first to worst in just a few corners, and has led to an instant for Zola as well. He's spun trying to avoid him, and it's the Ferrari of Low who is now walking off with the race lead here. A spin right at the start, and now there's another one. That's Ryan Hurricane, who has had a spin coming out of turn 4 now. So 3 spins in just a single sector alone. John trying to keep pace with CVTX Mass. Torpedo has moved up to 10th position on the medium tires, interestingly enough, so he has not really lost touch with the field yet. John closing in on Mask, and he's doing this without DRS. DRS isn't going to be enabled for the first few laps in the race, so Davis down closing in with just a little bit of ERS and stuff. Now Ryan Hurricane and Zola have both gone up. What has happened there? I don't know, but Ryan Hurricane has spun off there, coming out of Sector 2. Slow has the lead, and Raptor is now got clean track ahead of him. He is going to make a charge as Mask and Davis down having a drag race down into the braking zone of Turn 1. Who's going to be ahead? The answer is going to be the Alpine. But the Ferrari's trying to fight back. He gets squeezed a little bit. Will they make contact? They will not make contact, but it's still another drag race. We might see a Ferrari 1-2 in just a short moment here. And the Haas, the Frisbee, comes out of nowhere, and he's going to pinch the Ferrari down. A little bit of contact, and Frisbee's around. He's into the outside wall. This will drop Frisbee back to 10th, maybe even 11th or 12th position. He merges back onto the circuit in front of the Red Bulls of BC and Flavor, and John loses the position, though, to Starfish. So despite Starfish saying that these Haas machines are extremely, extremely poor, he is making up ground and is already brought up into 3rd position now over Davis John. And this CVTX Mask and XRLO walk away from the field just a little bit. John closing in massively on the straights, but whatever they have in that Haas team is making things work in the corners and under braking. He opens up a gap on the Ferrari just a bit, going uphill through Sector 2. Now they come into Sector 3. John is within just a fraction of a second. He's within less than a quarter of a second of Starfish. He might make a dive bomb going into the final corner, but he thinks better of it, but closes right in, puts his front wing right underneath the rear wing of the Haas, and he's right behind him again for the main straightaway. This straightaway is a little bit longer. This will be Davis John's best chance to scoot by for his 3rd position. Does he make the move? Yes, he is. He's going to go around the outside. Neck and neck, Haas versus Ferrari. Same powered engines. All going to be about who has the less drag when it comes to aerodynamic weight down the straight. And that seems to very plainly go to the Ferrari. But the Ferrari cannot complete the overtake in the corners. And now it's XRL Ollie who is about to put pressure on him. Renault and Ferrari power is dominating this race thus far. The top 5 positions are all made of cars running either Ferrari or Renault power plants right now, as Ollie has XRL 19 right by him trying to upset that. But Ollie himself is still putting pressure on John, and John is going to be putting pressure on Starfish. DRS has been enabled, so we're going to see a little bit of a DRS trade. Here comes 19 to the inside of Ollie. Neck and neck going down the straightaway. Mr. Anderson's behind him. He wants to find a way by, and now Anderson and 19 swap positions down the straight. 19 goes around the outside. James Gunn is overtaking Starfish at the end of the straightaway. They're neck and neck for a 3rd position going uphill. Starfish has to give way, lets the Ferrari by, but he's still right there behind him. He's close enough to use DRS to potentially get back by for 3rd position. Anderson right behind 19. They both lost track with Ollie just a little bit as Zola now gets by Raptor. Raptor, your pole setter, has just had his 2nd accident. Another spin, this one at the end of Sector 2. And that means that any chance that Raptor had of converting this pole position into a victory has evaporated. It is likely gone unless there's a full course yellow. Bestia gets by Torpedo going down the main straightaway. But look at this battle here. John, Starfish, Ollie, 19, Anderson, all on top of each other. A classic DRS train. For the moment, it's John over Starfish. 19 looks to the outside of Ollie. Can't make it stick, but he'll do the crossover on corner exit. He might try and go side by side going into the hairpin. It's not a move I would personally condone, but he's thinking of it. He dives in hard. They make a little bit of contact. 19 pushes Ollie a little wide, and 19 spins the tires, putting the power down the straight. They're neck and neck for a 5th position. Mr. Anderson is right behind, getting maximum draft and maximum fuel efficiency down that straight, following them. Both of them washed out a little bit, going uphill, and now Ollie is pushed wide by 19, and he's going to lose that position. He might even lose it to Anderson. Anderson here. They're still side by side going into the second to last corner, and Ollie's gonna cut back in front of Mr. Anderson, but Anderson has more speed down the straightaway, neck and neck on the run down to the final corner, and the answer is going to go to Mr. Anderson for 6th position for the moment. Ollie's going to try and fight back using DRS on the following straight, but Anderson has DRS that he can get off of 19. Young Maneuver had double DRS advantage. He goes to the outside of Ollie. He's going to try and overtake the Alfa Romeo on the outside. Mercedes power showing to be a little bit more resilient than the power train of the Ferrari, it would appear. And Anderson now trying to close in on 19 as that little battle comes to a close once more. But as all this has continued, Starfish has been able to keep tabs on James John. He's not able to do anything to get by him, but he's putting pressure on. Now James John gets the first time penalty of the day for track violations. Starfish gets close enough to still get DRS, going down the back straightaway, but at this point he's no longer using it as a weapon against James John. He's trying to use it to stay ahead of the drivers behind him. It's 19, and then the two Aston Martins of Anderson and Young Maneuver, followed by Ollie. It's still a 5-car train. Now though, instead of 2nd to 7th, it's now 3rd to 8th. Oh, and Mr. Anderson goes around right in front of the field, and he goes way off circuit in the process, but luckily enough he hits nobody, but this will drop him all the way down to 11th position. You just be careful merging in front of that Red Bull. But he will drop all the way back to 11th position now from that incident. And what that means is that Young Maneuver is now no longer close enough to get DRS off of 19. So 4th and 5th are having a battle of their own, 6th and 7th are having a battle of their own. The Haas goes all the way to the inside. The Williams goes off circuit. The Williams basically cuts the circuit on the straightaway in order to try and get by. They're still side by side. Williams versus Haas. It's neck and neck still. And it looks like the Haas is going to end up ahead of the Williams. Ollie overtakes Young Maneuver at the end of the DRS zone behind them. Raptor is just at the fastest lap, 132.565, but it doesn't really matter. He's so far out of contention right now, about half a lap down. Here's one other battle we'll want to keep track of. CVTX Mask has been gradually closing in on Low over the last 2 laps. He is now within DRS striking distance, so that could become a factor on the following lap. 19 is right there behind Elf and Starfish on the straight, but he's not confident enough to make a move on him. Overtakes Low down the main straightaway significantly sooner than I think anyone was believing, but that may have been a ploy because Low looked like he may have backed out intentionally to let Mask go, so that way Low could get DRS on the straight. Zola has had an instant there, exiting sector 2. Here comes Low with a huge head of steam back on Mask. He's gonna dive to the inside and will leave that Alpine pressured on the outside, a slower line, so the Ferrari will take the lead back. Mask has DRS back on Low, but as these two are fighting, will bring James Gunn up into the fray. Ollie still there behind Young Maneuver as Anderson now gets by Flavor for 10th. Zola in the pits repairing damage from the incident. Torpedo, who started on medium tires, has worked his way up into 9th, but he seems to kind of be stalled there for the moment. Oh, and Starfish has had a spin. He has gone off circuit, and that will drop him now to the 9th position. So both Haas's have had significant issues here. Now Starfish down to 9th. The real interesting battle is going to be this one. Low versus CVTX Mask for the race lead. Alpine versus Ferrari. These were the two strongest teams last season. Although the Alpine last season was a Renault, where they're basically the same team and everything but color and name only. Again, Lowe pulls over on this straightaway to let Mask by, so that way Lowe can get DRS on the main straight. Again, in Formula 1, you don't award points for leading laps, so it doesn't really matter. All Lowe is doing is just playing games with Mask. by doing this, making Mask use more and more fuel, because with that rear wing shut, it causes you to have more drag down the straight, so you have to burn more fuel to get the same amount of speed. So it's actually harming Mask when it comes to his fuel economy as well. It's an outstanding piece of driving skill that's being used by Lowe. Also, while this is all going on, it's bringing James Young closer and closer to the battle. 19 right there behind Young Maneuver. Oh, and Starfish is out! Starfish way off circuit there, and one of the fastest drivers all day out early here at Bahrain. So we're gonna try and get word from Elfin Starfish real quickly and see what the heck happened to him. Alright, and now coming into the party is the Haas driver of Elfin Starfish. Starfish, accident there coming out of turn 2. What happened that took you out of the race?
The car is absolutely horrendous to drive. Following Aston Martin, I don't know if you've seen the overtake, but he just powered by me like it was nothing, and I just lost the rear end, caught it again, then just ended up.
Well, I'll say this, you made... I know the Haas is not a good car, but you made yourself at least seem relatively competent for the first 7 laps of this race. You were doing a great job defending nearly every position. It's a shame to see you out this early.
Well, I would have been higher up and probably would have avoided that, but some drivers like squeezing you onto curbs that you know you're just going to spin on, so there's not much you can do.
Fair enough, so now I just have to ask, do you think you can rebound from this next week at Russia?
In a Haas? Maybe not. But I think I'll win next week. That's what I think.
Alright, well, it'll be interesting to see what you can pull off in the Haas next week. But again, it's a shame to see you out this early. Well, we've just had another incident on the circuit as Torpedo's had a spin going downhill through Sector 2. That's going to drop him down to 10th. Now this puts Flavor ahead of him in the 9th spot. But the battle really of interest is now of the top 3. Lowe and Mask have been fighting each other long enough that has brought Davis Khan into play. Now, last lap, Lowe did not pull over on the straight to let the Alpine go by. In fact, he's actually fighting and defending in earnest. Mask trying to go around the outside. Lowe's fine with it. But John is there now, and Mask is around! Mask is around all by himself out of the final corner. And he's onto the track right in front of the rest of the field. So Mask, who was fighting for a lead, now drops all the way down to the 6th position. Put the power down too hard. And now is a Ferrari 1-2. And Ollie right there behind Young Maneuver is trying to make a Ferrari power 1-2-3 on the circuit. A little farther back, Anderson right there behind Beastian. Not close enough to make a move, sadly. Raptor, another fastest lap, so Raptor continues to be the fastest driver on the track, but with 2 spins in the first 5 laps of the event, he's basically made himself irrelevant when it comes to the race unless we have a yellow flag. Ollie to the inside of Young Maneuver under braking. Make a little bit of contact. As Anderson gets by Beastian now for 7th. Ollie. Arrow wake from Young Maneuver causing him to lose a possible position to the Williams of XRL 19. They're going to be side by side on the non-DRS straight. 19 exiting wide gives him more speed down the straight, but the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo is better topped out for drag at the end of a straight, so he'll slide back ahead of the Williams. But now 19 is going to have DRS. James John is elected to pit at 2nd position, side by side for what will now be a battle for 3rd. Romeo is still just a little bit faster, and Frisbee has had an incident there in Sector 2, but looks like he's going to be able to get away without too much of an issue at least. 19, around the outside of Ollie. Ollie really pinching him hard. They're dead even, neck and neck, going downhill. Someone's going to have to back out sooner or later through here. It's going to likely be the Alfa Romeo, and yes it is. So 19 in the Williams. Now Brayson Williams up in the third. A little bit of bump from the Alfa Romeo behind, but he's holding on to the position. Frisbee, another spin now in the final corner. Oh, and a massive accident. And will that be a yellow? Yes, that's a full course safety car, and that's exactly what Raptor wanted to see and Zola wanted to see to gather the field back up, but both Haas's out early in the race here. And for Davis Khan, this will be great because this will move him way up the order. He had pitted just before this. As your race leader comes into the pits, will Young Maneuver elect to pit? It's very likely that pitting now and getting off the softs early would be a good option. Yes, Young Maneuver is going to pit. Will 19 pit? He's going to pit as well. What about Ollie? It's a pit. Mask is pitting. Anderson is going to come in to pit. For the Red Bull, this is going to be very frustrating because they're going to have to double stack. It will be Beastian, then Flavor. No, Flavor is staying out. Flavor is going to stay out because he's on medium tires. I forgot about that. Torpedo's going to stay out also. James Gunn is going to stay out. Ryan Hurricane will pit. Raptor will pit as well. But there is a little bit of double stacking that nearly happened there in the Alfa Romeo pit. But this moves Jabez Khan up in the fourth now, just behind his teammate Lowe once more. And Lowe is behind two drivers who have relatively worn mediums. And Flavor has just been disqualified from the session for ignoring yellow flags. He overtook the safety car. Well, for Flavor, he's had some good runs in the exhibition races, but that's 2 DNFs in the first 2 points-paying events thus far in XRRL's second season. So this promotes Torpedo up into the race lead now. Gotta try one more time to get in contact with Frisbee. So once again, it's going to be Alpine versus Ferrari, but it's not the Alpine that was fine with the Ferraris earlier. It's now Torpedo, rather than CVTX Mask, will be taking tasks to the Ferrari drivers of Lowe and Jabaslan. Probably go green on lap 14 as Ryan Hurricane, Raptor, and Zola still have a while until they're able to properly catch up to the back of the grid here. Our field's gathered up now, but it took him a little bit longer, and Hurricane's going to elect to come into the pits now. He's likely going to try and serve one of these time penalties. He has Zola also pitting now to put on fresher tires, so it won't really matter, but Zola's tires will be slightly fresher than everyone else's. Hurricane and the Williams will likely serve a time penalty here. They'll put on another set of medium tires as well. So that will relegate Ryan to 12th. Raptor is now back in the points-paying positions. He is on medium tires, like most of the people ahead of him. So now Raptor, who started on the pole, who's been the fastest person by himself, now has to find a way to work his way up through the grid. After spinning out of the lead, exiting turn 1, and spinning a few laps later, the safety car really helps him, but there's no guarantee. That does not mean that he's automatically in contention for the win. He is still only 10th. And the speed that the Ferraris and the Alpines have shown today have been outstanding, to say the least. but we should be going green this lap. Zola just about to catch the back of the grid. In fact, he has caught the back of the grid now, and Ryan Hurricane will likely catch the back of the grid by the time he gets onto the back straightaway, so we should be going green on lap 14 of 57. For those of you who missed the start of the race, it's been Ferrari versus Alpine most of the day. Your pole sitter was XRL Raptor, but he spun all by himself out of the lead, out of turn 1. Zola also had to spin to avoid him. Then, after that, we saw 3 cars, 2 Ferraris and an Alpine fighting for the top spot. But it was the Alpine of Mask, not Torpedo, who was fighting, only for Mask to spin out of the second position just before he was going to make a move out of the final corner. He ended up falling down the order from that. Then it was just Ferraris walking off. Then Elfin Starfish had a DNF and took him out. And then Frisbee, a few laps later, had a crash of his own at the end of the DRS straight. He destroyed and ripped the front tire off altogether, and that has put us under the current yellow flag that we are under at the moment. As we'll be watching this man here and this man here, Low and Torpedo, as they lead the field to the green flag here once more at Bahrain. But farther back, 19 is the one who wants to take advantage of it. He's going to overtake Young Maneuver before they even get to the start. No, he did actually have a legal time. I take that back. It looked like he was going to do it before the start-finish line, but he waited, held back, but he's not going to be able to hold it. Young Maneuver seems to be have a little bit better setup car going through turns 1, 2, and 3. 19 is faster on the straights, though, but there's nowhere for him to go. He's punched out way wide. Can't do anything to get by Young Maneuver, it would appear. Zola overtakes Beastian back there for the 9th position. So Young Maneuver, who did not have a good run in qualifying whatsoever, couldn't make it into Q3, is now up there in 4th, putting pressure on Javis John. And Young Maneuver is taking full advantage of those soft tire compounds. Low, meanwhile, is already putting pressure on Torpedo for the race lead. 19 has lost the position to Ollie. He's trying to fight back with it, though, going down the straight. Ryan Hurricane is now falling back to the 12th position. Around the outside, it's going to be 19. Ollie's going to push him a little bit wide afterwards, though. Mask is right there behind, ready to capitalize if something happens to one of these two. A little bit of contact, and Mask has way more speed than either of them at the moment. Ollie cuts way down right in front of Mask. Mask has to jump out of the way to not be an issue. Now Ollie looking to a move. Here comes a move farther back from Mr. Anderson. Anderson pulls out at the last moment. He's going to try and go around the outside. Can't make it stick. Neck and neck for the 7th position is Mask and Anderson. Anderson has the nose behind going down the straight, but ahead is 19 and Ollie. And into the braking zone. It's Torpedo versus Low for the race lead. Low got by Torpedo in the braking zone, but Torpedo had a better line in the following corner. Low powering back, though, as now Young Maneuver looks to the inside of the Ferrari of James John. He'll take the position on those nice, fresh, soft tires. Now Mask has lost touch with 19, and Anderson has gotten by 19 as well. 19 makes a dive down, neck and neck. It's a very difficult overtake to make stick there, but he went for it, but ended up compromising both their times. It brings Mask back into the fray for this position. Ollie now looking to try and get by James John. It seems like John cannot keep up with quite the same pace that Low or a Torpedo have right now, even despite the fact that he is on relatively good tires. Young Maneuver is putting pressure on Low. Low needs to keep his nose facing forward, though. He's right behind Torpedo. He looks to the inside, not close enough to make a move through here. Torpedo jumps down on the air ahead of Low. Low's going to have draft going down the straight, and Young Maneuver will have draft as well. To the inside comes Young Maneuver. This is going to be perfect for Torpedo because it will leave the Ferrari occupied. Or will it? Low makes a huge move under braking. Pulls right up behind the Torpedo on corner exit. Now Young Maneuver has to fight with James John and Ollie. DRS has been enabled, so we're going to see DRS being used very shortly here. Side by side for the 4th and 5th positions. Young Maneuver is the wild card in it all. Ollie, James John both get cut off by him just a little bit. It's going to be James John who goes back ahead. Ollie knocks James back off the circuit, and there's another round of contact. Ollie gets knocked off track. Now Mr. Anderson is in position to make the move. He looks to the inside of the Ferrari, has to back out of it. Ollie goes around the outside, can't make it stick though. Now that brings Anderson back into play. Anderson will power back by the Alfa Romeo. And the Williams closes in huge up there. Torpedo, young maneuver, Low all over each other for a lead there. But Low now got by Torpedo, and Torpedo in the process has fallen to third. The more medium tires are working against him. 19 with a huge dive there on Ollie. Who's that who just got ran off circuit there? It looked like the Williams of 19 who got pushed way off circuit. They're 3 wide nearly going into the corner. 19 backs out of it, but neither does Ollie or Zola. They make contact again going uphill. Zola's not going to be happy about that getting doored in a part of the track where the car gets notoriously light. Young Maneuver is just overtaking Low down the straight, but Low is probably going to do the same thing Young Maneuver that he was doing with Mask earlier. He'll let the other driver go by on the non-DRS straight, and then on the 2 subsequent straights, the Ferrari will get back ahead. And for Low, this will be great because Low has medium tires, Young Maneuver has soft tires, so this battle will inevitably go in Low's favor the longer they fight. The only downside is that the longer they fight, it will bring Torpedo and Davis John back into the fray. And not just them, it will bring the entire back of the field as well. Side by side, Torpedo, James John, huge into the outside wall. A massive accident as James John and Mr. Anderson go hard into the wall as John was making a move on Torpedo, and they are both down with a massive crash. And that is race over for both of those drivers. And for Ferrari, it would look like a pair of cars maybe gained on the podium will now result in neither of them on the podium. And we are now only down to 10 cars, so everyone here will get points if they can make it to the race end. But for James John and Mr. Anderson, a massive accident. As James John was trying to get by Torpedo moved down, cut down, and as the Ferrari tried to avoid, he cut right across the nose of Mr. Anderson and sent both of them into the inside wall and destroyed their cars. No one elected to pit. Interestingly enough, Torpedo has not pitted out of the 3rd position. So this means that the entire field will be gathered up and we should be able to go green very shortly here. So what appeared to happen, as far as I could tell, is that because Low and Young Maneuver, well, mainly Low, was slowing down to let Young Maneuver go and was kind of playing hooky with him using DRS in the draft, it kept bunching the field up behind them. So that let Torpedo get right behind them, and in the process, James John caught Torpedo. John went to make a move on Torpedo, coming out of the braking zone of turn 4. So he was on the inside of Torpedo. Torpedo moved over and hit James John. John swerved to avoid. However, John wasn't aware that to the inside of him was Mr. Anderson. Anderson had nowhere to go, no time to react, as John swerved right in front of him to avoid Torpedo. In the process, John got hooked by Mr. Anderson. Both of them went right into the inside wall, taking both of them out of the race. We are now down to only 10 cars on the circuit here. We'll be going one more lap under safety car Torpedo, again, another lap where he elects to stay out. He seems to be happy with the track position. So earlier in the race, it was Ferrari and Renault that were the dominant team, but now it seems like it's changing just a bit. It looks like the Renault is still strong, but it looks like the Aston Martins are rebounding, although Anderson has now been taken out as his game is gone. Young Maneuver has been very strong. The difference, though, is that Young Maneuver has the soft tire compounds, and we don't really know how much of Maneuver's speed is coming from the softs or how much is coming from actual ability and the car. Should be going green this lap, though. That's the anticipation. One thing that will help Young Maneuver a little bit, though, is all these laps under the safety car. Also, Lowe will be not allowed to kind of play hooky with the DRS and laying Young Maneuver by so that we can squeeze by right afterwards. So Lowe's actually going to have to fight on pure merit for these next few laps when we go green, assuming we go green this lap. There's the board safety car coming in this lap. So we'll be going green on lap 20, still not halfway through this race here. Torpedo in third, ready to capitalize, but on those worn mediums, I don't think there's much he'll be able to do. CVTX Mask was fine for a lead earlier before spinning out. As we batted up to fourth, he also has soft tires, so I think if he can get by his teammate Torpedo quickly, he might be able to bury Lowe a bit. Again, we turn our focus to Raptor one last time. He has rebounded to 8th, was not made very many on-track overtakes under green. So we are back to green flag here. Lowe walks away from Young Maneuver as they take the green. Farther back is going to be 19 and Ollie. 19 again on the nose of going green to try and maximize overtakes immediately. Williams versus Alfa Romeo for the 6th and 7th positions. And he'll take it. They thought, though, it let Zola open up a gap on them, so now Zola has very much put himself in this middle of a three-way fight between himself, Mask, and Torpedo. Torpedo not pulling very far away from Mask at the moment. Mask will have the draft going down the straights to close in on his teammate just a bit. Ooh, Torpedo really washed up there just a bit. Mask not in a position to capitalize against his teammate. Here we are, Mask pulling down to the inside, will easily overtake his teammate for the 3rd position. Zola coming back into the fray now. Zola dives to the inside of Torpedo. Those worn 20-lap medium tires are not serving Torpedo in any good way at the moment. It seems like he's just gradually losing time and losing pace. Zola comes to the inside again, and this time he'll easily overtake him by the time they get to the braking zone. So now it goes to 19. 19 goes around! He made contact with Torpedo and goes around the same place that James John did. The difference, though, is that 19 was able to arrest the spin, save the car. He only falls to 10th instead of DNFing. And Beastian has had a spin of his own going downhill. So both Williams having an accident almost at the exact same time. dropping them to the back parts of the circuit. So now Raptor is up into 6th at this point, and he will overtake Torpedo now for 5th. Ollie now closing in on Torpedo. Ollie with an outside threat for the win by some drivers' standards. He's up in 7th now, trying to see what he can do to Torpedo. The draft's working in his favor, but it doesn't look like he'll be close enough to make a dive under braking. There we are. We're going to be seeing DRS shenanigans very shortly here. Mask has just set the fastest time of the race, 131.780. Here comes Ollie against Torpedo. He looks to the inside, neck and neck as they come into the braking zone. And it goes to Ollie. The Alpine, though, will have DRS back to close back in a bit. Oh, and Ollie goes around all on his own. Now Ollie spins on his own and falls back to the 8th position. And now we look at the battle for 3rd. Low, Maneuver, and Mask. How long will the soft tires stay relevant against Low is the question. DRS working in favor of Young Maneuver and Mask here. But Young's not close enough to make a move at the end of this straightaway. Does Low pull over on the non-DRS stretch and let Young Maneuver go? There is Mask there in contention. And unlike Young Maneuver, Mask is aware of the shenanigans that Low pulls. Low will stay ahead this time. He feels relatively confident. Zola, Raptor, now in the fight of their own for 4th and 5th. So Raptor is making his way back up through the grid. Mask, right there behind Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver closing in on Low via DRS. Does Maneuver have anything he can try under braking? He dives high and tries the crossover in turn 1. But it doesn't work for him going into turn 2. He's still in 2nd. He does have the advantage of being closer to the Ferrari. Does he make a move into turn 4? He does. He dives to the inside. They make a little bit of contact. And the Ferrari stays ahead for the moment. Raptor not able to get by Zola yet. Now Torpedo is back there ready to capitalize. Young Maneuver all over the Ferrari of Low right now. And as these three are fighting, it runs the risk of bringing Zola and Raptor into the fray. Mass is just holding back right now, letting Young Maneuver try and wear Low down. Young not making a move at the end of the backstretch. Now they go back uphill once more. No shenanigans from Low this time. No, there it is. He pulls over and forces the Aston Martin on the outside in braking. But Young Maneuver is way faster on the straight now, and Mass is going to be faster than both of them. Young Maneuver already opened up a massive gap on Low, and Mask is already there, putting pressure on the Ferrari. Low with the DRS is going to shoot out of that third corner like a cannon, but the Aston Martin seems to be faster on that straight and will hold the position over Low. Raptor has gotten by Zola via DRS assistance, now already opening a gap on him. So Raptor is going to try and bring himself into the fight for the win here. Mask right there behind Low. DRS to close back in on Young Maneuver. Two Mercedes and a Ferrari fighting for the race win right now, with another Mercedes a Mercedes, a Ferrari, and a Renault fighting for the race win right now with another Mercedes power plant trying to close in. He's still 3.6 seconds out, but if these three keep up fighting, it will work in his favor. Low, closing in on Young Maneuver again in the straights. Does he make a move? He looks to the inside, thinks better of it for now. With DRS, it's pretty plain to see that second is the place to be if you can make it work. And Lowe has the advantage of having tires that will last longer than these two cars around him. So as long as the aerodynamic wash from Young Maneuver ahead doesn't upset him at all, he'll be good. Mask, I can't tell if Mask is holding back and trying to save the tires or if his tires are already falling off. He's been in the aerodynamic wake of these two almost since the first restart. Uphill once more. Maneuver opens up a bit of a gap on Lowe in the downforce focus sections because Lowe's not getting maximum air on the nose of that Ferrari. However, that naturally goes back in favor to the Ferrari on the straights. We'll be side by side with him here, going into the braking zone. To the inside is the Ferrari. Nose ahead, under braking. The Aston Martin's fighting back nice and strong, but looks like it's going to go to the Ferrari. Indeed it does. And Lowe waited until the last moment to slot himself ahead, so he had DRS on the entire following straight as well. So now Mask may have a chance to go back at Young Maneuver if Maneuver gets compromised going downhill here. To the braking zone. Mask right there behind Young Maneuver. Maneuver gets a great exit, but Lowe was already on the throttle way earlier as he's going to stay ahead of the Aston. The Aston, will he dive to the inside? Not close enough, not able to. Lowe shuts the door and keeps it shut. But Maneuver has DRS where the Ferrari doesn't. Raptors close to 2.5 seconds now, out from third. Mask right there behind Young Maneuver. Does he make a move? Does he go for it? There is no DRS in this straightaway. It's all draft. Lowe, having to hold off two different cars, isn't able to pull the shenanigans he was doing earlier. Mask closing in more on Maneuver than Maneuver is on Lowe, but Lowe's there. Maneuver to the outside, now to the inside in the following corner. He'll have a straighter amount of speed and DRS on the following straight. Maneuver, he looks to the inside, can't make its move there. And Mask faster than both of them, but not in a position to make a challenge. Very nearly to the rear tires. The soft tires are going to be falling off at this point, and the battle's going to go more and more in Lowe's favor. But Maneuver and Mask have DRS, something that Lowe does not have in his favor right now. And the big wild card in this all is that as these three are fighting, Raptor farther back is closing in. He is now 1.5 seconds out from Mask. And Mask keeps getting these great runs on Lowe and Young Maneuver, but there's just not any racetrack for him to take advantage of it at. Now the gap is opening a little bit more between Lowe and Young Maneuver. Now Young will have the advantage of draft going down the straight, and he'll be able to close in a bit on Lowe. But it's looking less and less likely that the Aston Martin will be able to keep this fight alive against the Ferrari, because he is losing more time now in the corners than he can necessarily make up on the straights. Now Maneuver is within 6 tenths, now within 5 tenths, within 4 tenths, but that's not close enough. You basically need to be within a third of a second or to make a side-by-side dive going into a corner. Now Maneuver, though, this time he's within 4 tenths. He'll be within 3 tenths in the braking zone, but he's not close enough still to make a dive into braking. And now going downhill here, although this is more of a mechanical grip focus than it is aerodynamic grip, it's still, you need to have a little bit of good aerodynamics, and having the dirty air from the car head disturb the air going over the front wing of your car is going to make you a little bit slower. Now your Maneuver is within 5 tenths again, but he's going to lose more once more going into this hairpin here. He takes a tighter line, which compromises him a bit. But he's closer now than he has been before because Lowe ran wide coming out of the hairpin. Will he make a dive at the end of the straight? No, he will not. But as this continues, Raptor is very nearly within DRS range of CVT Mask. Maneuver within 4 tenths, or within half a second, I should say, of Lowe. So he might be able to pull alongside going down the main straight. The big thing is that Mask is going to be there as well, ready to capitalize. He'll have DRS off both of these cars ahead. Maneuver within 5 tenths. Now he's closing to within 4 tenths. Within 3 tenths. Lowe defends the inside. Young Maneuver is going to go high. Oh! And Mask hits Young Maneuver under braking, and that compromises the Aston Martin's momentum. And that works out in the favor of Lowe. He'll hold on to the lead for a little bit more, and Raptor is now going to be within DRS range of Mask. So this is now turned to a 4-car fight for the lead. And Raptor has the advantage of having clean air this entire time, pretty much. So his tires are going to be about the same pace that Lowe's is going to be. So Raptor, your pole setter, spun lap 1 coming out of turn 1 and fell right to the back. He has rebounded to 4th and is now part of this 4-car fight for the win. Mask closing in on Young Maneuver. Oh, and Bestian has had an incident in the Red Bull. He has gone around coming into sector. That's a very weird place to go around. My guess is that he put the power down too aggressively and spun himself out on his own. But now we turn our focus to the top 4. Mask right there behind Young Maneuver, and Raptor now has DRS he can use against the Alpine. Young Maneuver is losing pace too low and losing it quickly. Still not in a position to do anything alone, but Lowe steps a little bit wide, Maneuver a little bit faster, and this is turn 2 and turn 3. He'll have DRS. This could work in his favor, maybe. Really bad putting the power down out of 4. He's now more than a second out from Lowe, so that may be it. That might be the battle for the lead over. It may now turn into a battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. For Raptor, this could be great because he has DRS on the 2 guys ahead of him. Mask now has DRS on Young Maneuver, so unless Maneuver can make a huge amount of gain here in Sector 2 and Sector 3, that's going to be it. Young Maneuver is going to get overtaken by Mask because he doesn't have DRS. No DRS on this straightaway. This is all draft and ERS ability. Mask is within a quarter of a second of Young Maneuver. Maneuver with no DRS is likely going to get overtaken by Mask. Going into, no, Maneuver is going to board altogether. He'll jump right into the pits so he can get new tires on. That promotes Mask into 2nd and Raptor into 3rd. So now the question is, where does Young Maneuver come out in relation to everyone else? This is Torpedo and the other Alpine. He has not changed tires yet today. And Torpedo will end up ahead of you on maneuver. Ollie will end up ahead of you on maneuver. And Ryan Hurricane will also be ahead of you on maneuver, although in this case it will be just barely. So now Raptor is able to put pressure on Mask. Mask has soft tires, but they're very worn. Raptor's tires are still very much within fighting range. Also, Mask actually closed in just a little bit on low there. So Mask will have DRS going down the back straightaway, and he can use that as a defense against Raptor. Now in the first section of this race, Raptor, despite being out of the points paying position and on tires that had marks on them, he was the fastest guy on track. Now, he's been beaten a little bit since then, but still, Raptor may have the ability to catch low and overtake him here. But right now, Raptor needs to deal with Mask before that can even happen. Does Mask stay out on these tires, or does he come in? The answer is going to be he'll stay out a little bit longer. So Raptor's still going to have to find a way by the Alpine. Ferrari, Renault, Mercedes engines fight for our top 3 positions. And it's going to be an easy overtake for the Mercedes. So Raptor now up into 2nd place. Oh, and 19 has crashed out. And 19 is out of the event. And that's a virtual safety car, not a full course safety car, but a virtual safety car as 19 crashes out of the race all by himself out of last place. We are under a full course safety car, so it has changed. It's now become a full course safety car. And for BCM, this is great because he is able to get in, get a free pit stop out of this, basically throw on a set of softs. And we know those softs would make it to the end if we were 15 laps to go, but we still have 25 laps to go. BCM will have to pit at least one more time for another set of softs. But for Raptor, he is now up there in 2nd. Mask is still 3rd, and this is a perfect chance for him to get rid of these soft tires. Now, he's going to fall through the grid just a bit, but the gaps are still relatively large throughout most of the field. So, not likely going to go green until about lap 34, simply because of how spread out most of the field is. There's your word. Your top 3 are all pitting. Zola is going to come into the pits. He waited until the last minute to elect to pit, but he is going to pit. Now, will Torpedo pit? I would imagine he'd have to pit. He's been on these tires since the start of this race, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to throw on what will likely be medium tires, and those tires will take him to the end of this race. Got a maneuver who had just pitted a little bit before is going to be in a great position because this moves him up into 4th position with tires that are only slightly older than everyone else's. Torpedo is pitting again, so he realizes that the choice to get on softs. No, this is Torpedo's first pit. Sorry. So Torpedo on the softs, Ollie on the mediums, Ryan Hurricane putting on scuffed mediums. I think those are the same mediums he may have started this race out on. Below is still your race leader, but now it's Raptor who is behind him. And this could get very interesting very quickly. It'll be a little bit until Torpedo catches up to the back of the field. Actually, I say that he's basically about there now. And then Ollie will catch up. Ryan Hurricane will take him a little bit more time, and I think BC's not going to catch him for a while. So yeah, I'm not anticipating us going green for a little bit of time here. But now everyone except Zola is on fresh rubber. Zola did elect to pit, but he put on scuffed mediums. A very strange decision, to say the least. I'm guessing that Zola realizes that the wind's out of his hands, so he's going to pit late in this event to try and get fastest lap point. He'll be fighting with Torpedo and Beastian for that, as those two drivers will have to pit one more time as well today. But for Hurricane, Ollie, Young Maneuver, Mask, Raptor, and Low, they should be good to go to the end of today's race on the rubber they have equipped on their cars right now. And Torpedo is coming in, so Torpedo is going to probably put on the medium tires now, realizing that the softs are not good and the mediums will take them to the end. We'll put on the mediums now. Beastian's still going to stick with the softs though. Alright, so we should be coming to the green flag shortly here. Alright, coming to the green flag. Of note though, Low and Raptor have time penalties. Mask does not. 5 for Low, 8 for Raptor as we come to the green flag. So this race could still work out in Mask's favor because it's not likely that Low or Raptor will be able to take off 5 seconds worth of penalties. They're not liable to pit again for the rest of the race. Mask not keeping pace though with the leaders. Low and Raptor both shot out like a cannon pretty much, and Zola, who is looking nice and racy right now, against Young Maneuver, but he does not make a move yet. Farther back, Torpedo is there behind Beastian. Beastian steps a little bit wide. Torpedo has to be kicking himself right now because he could have been higher up if he elected to pit under and put on mediums rather than pit under softs. So now he's going to have to work his way back up to the field. Beastian in an interesting position because he has softs that he might be able to make up some ground with. Now Raptor already beginning to close back in on Low. Not much of a close for now though, no DRS. Zola trying to put pressure on Young Maneuver. Mask has completely fallen off and lost touch with Raptor thus far. Of note for Raptor, he needs to outrun 8 seconds worth of time penalties. Low has 5 seconds against him. Raptor's just set the fastest lap of the race there, 131.104. Low set the fastest, then right afterwards, Raptor set the fastest. So these are the two fastest guys on the track in the lead. Low ran a little bit wide there in turn 1. Raptor has a run. But no DRS to really make use of it going down this straightaway. Raptor is already about 2.5 seconds ahead of Mask. Raptor needs to outrun 8 seconds worth of time penalties. Lowe needs to outrun 5 seconds. Mask has completely fallen off the map when he came to the Balfour lead. He was fighting for it in earnest earlier, and now I have to wonder if maybe he's used too much fuel and he's gone into fuel conservation mode to save so he can guarantee he'll make it to the end. And in the process, that's backed up Young Maneuver and let Zola keep pounding on him, although Zola's now made a mistake, and Ollie gets by him, and now Ryan Hurricane is going to try and come to the inside to get by the McLaren as well, and Lowe has just pulled over to let Raptor go by, going down the non-DRS straight. So, the DRS hasn't been enabled yet, so I don't know what the strategy was there. But Lowe has just let Raptor, a significantly faster driver, go by. Now DRS has come into play, but Lowe didn't have it going down the main straightaway. So Raptor might be able to walk away from Lowe. So Lowe may, by doing his little strategy of pulling over on the non-DRS straight and then using DRS to get back by, it might work against him now because Raptor seems to be faster than the Ferrari, and he might be able to get more than a second away from him by the time they get to the DRS detection points. Farther back, Zola trying to fight back against Ollie here. He wants 5th position back. Raptor and Lowe have absolutely turned the heat up now. There's nobody in the same zip code as the two of them. So now the question is, what can the Ferrari do against the Mercedes? As they come now onto the non-DRS straight, but there's still draft, and that will work in Lowe's favor. He stays about 2/3 of a second out from the Mercedes. Now he lays on the ERS and the DRS on the straight, but he didn't have a good run through that corner. And Raptor's just set the fastest lap time again, now in the 1:30 range. So that's comparative to the time that the medium tires were setting in qualifying. So our race leader now setting lap times comparable to qualifying on the medium tires at this point. Now granted, none of the medium drivers who set their final time on medium tires made it into Q3, but still that's worth noting that Raptor has dropped the pace, has dropped the time significantly and seriously upped his pace. Lowe may honestly be in trouble. The good news for Lowe, though, is that he has only 5 seconds worth of time penalties. Raptor has 8, so that will work in the Ferrari's favor. Raptor basically needs to be 3 seconds ahead of Lowe in order to pull the victory off. So this time Lowe's a little bit farther out from Raptor than he was before, but he closes a bit more, so I have to wonder if maybe he's using the ERS down this straight this time. Coming onto the main straight, he's still about 2/3 of a second out. He used DRS to close up just a bit. But the Mercedes engines have been very powerful today. Ferrari's not able to do anything down the main straight. They'll have DRS, though, coming out of turn 3. Ollie by Zola farther back at the end of that back straightaway. Our main focus is on the leaders. Raptor is pulling on low at a rate of about a tenth a second a lap here. And Lowe has the advantage of DRS and is still not able to close the gap on the Mercedes. The race seems to be falling away from him. He pulled aside to let the Mercedes go, thinking that he could play the same DRS games he played earlier with CVTX Mask and Young Maneuver. He did not take in consideration that the Mercedes might actually be that much faster than the Ferrari. Zola back by Ollie in the braking zone, and now Ryan Hurricane there is ready to fight as well. Oh, Raptor! What happened to Raptor? Something has happened because now everything's changed and Raptor has gone from first to second. And the gap has swung to 2.5. I think Raptor may have had a lockup or a spin or something. He went from being almost a second ahead of the Ferrari to now 2.5 seconds out. With 17 laps to go, there's not a whole lot of time left. That's also brought CVTX Mask back into play because Mask could still take home the victory. And Beastian has spun around again. Same area we saw him do it earlier. But again, though, for him, no damage to the car. He will be able to continue. But now Raptor needs to charge up through the field. He needs to be 8 seconds ahead of Mask and 3 seconds ahead of Lowe to win this race. And there are only 17 laps left for him to do it. Back. This is going to be a very interesting fight. Ryan Hurricane, Ollie, Zola Maneuver in a four-way fight for the 4th position. CVTX Max basically in no man's land right now. Ooh, Hurricane with a twitch. But Zola has DRS against Young Maneuver as closing on him quickly down the straight. Not close enough to make a dive bomb though. Raptor has already taken off about half a second on Lowe. Oh, and for Raptor, this is getting extremely, extremely difficult for him. Because now Lowe's not going to just pull over and let Raptor by to try and DRS pass him later. He knows that the Ferrari can't keep up with the Mercedes. He's going to have to fight the entire time. So Raptor is definitely faster than Lowe, but is he fast enough to get by him and then outrun 3 seconds time penalty against the Ferrari and outrun 8 seconds against Mask? Battle 4th through 7th is still very much alive. So we're watching Ollie, but it's more likely going to be this man here, Zola, who will make the move that really upsets this order here. He's got DRS going down the main straight now. Raptor seems to have stalled out at about 1.4 seconds out from Lowe now. Oh! Ryan Hurricane with a massive accident went right off the circuit there. It looked like the power disengaged and he was gone. Went right off the track, and Ryan Hurricane, the other Williams, is out, and that is a full course safety car. And Ryan Hurricane out in a shower of sparks. What in the world happened there? And now the other question is, who's going to elect to pit now under this yellow flag? You could go ahead, throw on soft tires, and make that last to the end. And for Raptor and Lowe, they could elect to go ahead, throw on soft tires, and get those 5 seconds of time penalties removed from them. The problem, though, is that if they decide to do that, they're now going to be buried in the middle of the field, and they will put Mask back in the lead. All right, coming into the party right now is Ryan Hurricane. Ryan, go ahead and include your audio. We saw that car suddenly take off at 150 miles an hour into the wall head on. What happened? So you rage quitted out of the race. No points for either of the drivers in the Williams team, not because of a lack of pace, but because neither of you two were able to finish the race, crashing from pushing the car too hard. So I just have to ask, do you think you can rebound from this next week? Okay, well, it was an absolute shame. It looked like you were in play for still a possible top 5 finish before that accident happened. So hopefully things will turn around for you next week. Alright, we turn our focus back to the track. Lowe, your race leader, elected not to pit. He still has 5 seconds of time penalty against him. Mask and Young Maneuver also elected not to pit. They do not have any time penalties against him. Level 6 Beastien did not pit, but he is on warm sauce and will have to pit at least once, and Beastien has 3 seconds of time penalty against him. Raptor pitted out of the lead, out of second, and he now is 5th, but he has fresh sauce, and he only has 3 seconds of time penalty against him rather than 8. Zola pitted, he has no time penalties and fresh sauce. Ollie pitted, no time penalties, fresh sauce. Torpedo pitted, no time penalties, fresh sauce. So this has now turned back, I'd say, into a 4-car battle. And now as Beastian's going to go ahead and pit now out of 4th. So yeah, this is without a doubt a 4-car battle. And Raptor has an upper hand over the drivers ahead in the form of fresh soft tires, while everyone else has worn mediums. So he's already been faster than them. He's gonna be way faster. The counterpoint though is that Raptor's speed really only seems to come up when he has fresh air on the front wing of that car. In traffic, he does not seem to be very good at overtaking, and he's gonna be restarting 4th with a time penalty. He's also gonna have to hold off the drivers of Zola, Ollie, and Torpedo, who now know that they have a potential top 4 in the bag. Young Maneuver, Mask, and Lowe have dominated most of this race, with Lowe leading most of the laps. Raptor is basically trying to dig himself out of a hole after spinning on the first lap out of turn 1, and then a few laps later as well. He had the lead and then kind of like spun out of it, gave it back to Lowe, and he was catching him back at a good rate before this yellow flag came out. Now Raptor needs to outrun a 3-second time penalty against Mask, and he needs to get by Lowe. Honestly, he doesn't even have to get by Lowe. If he can just be within 2 seconds of Lowe by race end, he'll have this victory, assuming he can get back by both Young Maneuver and Mask. We are anticipating that we should be going green on lap 45, so we'll be going green with about 13 laps to go. Those soft tires fall off at about 13 laps in. So Raptor, although he has in a sense the entire run to go for, realistically he's going to want to make as many of these moves as fast as possible, but he's not been great moving up through the field today. Most of the spots he's gained have been through, and there's the word safety car coming in this lap. Most of the spots he's gained today have come by virtue of just being faster than everyone else and then naturally picking up the positions under pit stops or the drivers ahead pitting. Now, he has made an overtake on Mask and Young Maneuver earlier in the event, so he has passed them before, but that was on the same tires. That's the other thing. Raptor has not been great on overtaking, but he's also usually been on tires that are about the same wear type as everyone else around him. This is the first time he's going to have to be on faster tires also. Coming to the green flag. Lowe trying to shoot out there like a cannon. Mask cannot keep up. Twitches. They're coming to the green flag. Mask already has lost touch with the lead. Young Maneuver going for second spot on the podium. Neck and neck as they go into the braking zone. Down into turn 1. Hard on the brakes. The Aston Martin is going to slide ahead of the Alpine. And needs to make this work and make it work fast. Young Maneuver has pulled way ahead of Mask almost instantly. It seems like this restart worked out in Young Maneuver's favor, but he is still over a second and a half out from the leader. Now, Raptor is trying to make a move on Mask. He pulls up side by side as they begin going downhill. One of them's got to back out. No one backs out. And there's contact, and Raptor's around. Zola is around. Ollie goes up, and now there's multi-car accident. A Raptor was able to recover in fourth, but Zola is going to be absolutely livid from that contact. And now for Raptor, it looks like any chance he had of winning might be gone now. Mask, now within DRS range of maneuver, but it's still going to be a few laps before that happens. Now Raptor has had an accident. Raptor has spun out, and that's it. His chance for the win is over. It's now going to be Low versus Maneuver versus Mask, because Low has 5 seconds of time penalty he has to outrun. Maneuver and Mask do not have any time penalties. Mask working on Young Maneuver. These two are fighting for the win, but if they let Low get too far away, then that win will slip away from them. Mask has slightly fresher tires than Young Maneuver. Ollie in the pits to repair damage after he made contact with Zola. That will relegate Ollie to last place, sadly. Gap between first and second is 3.3 seconds. If Low can get to 5 seconds away from Young Maneuver, Low will have this victory wrapped up. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Low is just gradually pulling on these drivers. In these last 15 laps or so, Low has pulled off more speed than anyone except Raptor can keep up with. Interestingly enough, Torpedo has actually caught his teammate here. But Torpedo isn't really anticipated to be a driver that could contend for this victory. Mask is going to pull over and let Torpedo by. So a little bit of team playing going on. Mask realizes that Torpedo is faster. They'll let Torpedo chase after Young Maneuver and try and overtake Young. And if Torpedo can get by Young Maneuver and go fast enough, he might be... Torpedo is just at the fastest lap of the day, 129.926. So Torpedo might not be able to catch Low on track, but he doesn't have to catch him. If he can be within 5 seconds of Low by race in, he will be able to steal the victory from him. He needs to get by this man here first. He looks to the inside of Young Maneuver. He's by him. Young Maneuver fights back though, but doesn't seem to have the pace. Torpedo within 4.5 seconds, 4.6 seconds of the Ferrari of Low. He needs to close the gap a little bit more. The good news though is that Torpedo's tires will be good to the end of this race. If he can close the gap, any amount that he closes the gap will work out in his favor. Torpedoes close the gap down already to 3.8 seconds out from Low, and he is charging hard. Most of the other battles have dissipated, although Raptor is within striking distance of Beastian, and these two have the same amount of time penalties. So if Raptor can get by Beastian, that will be a position, overtake for actual position. Raptor, fastest lap now, 129.807. He goes to the inside of Beastian, neck and neck for the position, and Raptor takes it. Clambers over the inside curbs this a bit in turn 1, but he still is immediately gone from the Red Bull driver. Former teammates that both used to be on the Mercedes team together, but Beastian has been moved over to the Red Bull team. Raptor has been kept at Mercedes. Well, kept in a weird way. He was at Red Bull during the preseason races before moving back to the Mercedes. But still, either way, former teammates are no longer teammates. And there's still this battle here between Mask and Young Maneuver. Mask within DRS range of Young Maneuver. Torpedo has closed to about 3 seconds out from your race leader Low. And again, like I said, the time penalty that Low has is 5 seconds. So for now, if the race is finished as it is now, Low would end up with this race win. I mean, not Low. Torpedo would end up with this race win over Low. Mask making a move on Young Maneuver for podium positions. Dives to the inside of the Aston Martin. And it will clear him. Now the question is, does Young Maneuver have anything to fight back with? The answer is a very resounding no, it seems. He has to back way out to not spin out. Going to spin out, going over the curbs. Now bring Raptor into the fray with 8 laps to go here. 9 laps, sorry. 8.5 laps, something like that. Raptor 1.4 seconds out from these guys, but Raptor seems to stall out once he gets to about 1.2 seconds out from behind somebody. But he has freshest tires compared to the worn mediums of Mask and Young Maneuver right now, so he could still potentially pull out with a third here, but he has to pass these two and outrun time penalties. Torpedo has whittled the gap down between himself and the leader to 2.3 seconds. Raptor is now there in position to fight with Maneuver and Mask. Maneuver does still have DRS that he can use because he is still within a second of Mask here. It looks like the Aston Martin's a little bit faster going in a straight line than the Mercedes. This is the most active battle on the track for the moment. Does Raptor make a move at the end of the straight? Yes, he thinks of it, but does not commit to it. Oh no! And right in front of them both goes around Mask! And Mask, who has been a contender for the win almost all day today, now falls to 7th. This puts Young Maneuver in 3rd and Raptor in 4th. And now Raptor doesn't have to worry about DRS defense from Maneuver. He can go hard against him. Goes by, he will go back into 3rd, but now he has to outrun a 3-second time penalty against Maneuver if he wants to hold on to that 3rd position. For the lead, though, Torpedo doesn't even have to overtake the Ferrari for the win, but there's 5 seconds of penalties that Low has against him. But Torpedo, I think, wants to take the pride of being the first car to cross the line. He is putting pressure on the leading Ferrari right now. Mask in the pits, putting on new tires, so he'll try and go at least for the fastest lap point. Raptor now has clean track ahead of him, so Raptor can try and outrun Young Maneuver and go for the win here. Torpedo with a huge slide there through the hairpin, still within DRS range though. Raptor is 6.6 seconds out from the leader right now. Raptor basically has no way of winning this race, sadly. Well, I shouldn't really say sadly, he can't burn on himself with his multiple spins, but Raptor has no way of winning the race, but he might be able to steal second from Lowe if he can get within 2 seconds of the lead Ferrari. But with 6 laps to go across the line, I'm not 100% sure I see that happening unless Lowe and Torpedo end up spending a ridiculous amount of time fighting each other on the track. Not to mention, Raptor still has to outrun a 3-second time penalty against the maneuver. Torpedo putting pressure on the Ferrari going down the main straight here. The Alpine we've been focusing on most of the day has been masked, and while Torpedo did get up near the front earlier, it was on the virtue of not pitting. So this is a very not anticipated, because Torpedo is putting pressure on Lowe in a position where Lowe can't even really fight back. Torpedo has kind of been mid-pack most of the day, and then here late in the event, he's taken advantage of everyone else's bad luck and poor strategy to be what will likely be your race winner here. Looking on the outside is Torpedo, but Lowe comes up and shuts the door. So Torpedo has to spin another lap just following Lowe. Lowe has to hope that he produces enough aero wash that Torpedo makes a mistake and spins out, otherwise there is no winning this race for Lowe. He needs Torpedo to make a mistake in the form of a spin or a crash, or make enough track violations that he gets 6 seconds of time penalties, but I don't think that's going to happen. Torpedo has a great run going down the main straight this time. He looks to the inside with DRS. That's it. Torpedo goes by to the win. Oh, and that's Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver has crashed out of the what was the 4th place position, spinning out of the final corner. 20-lap worn mediums have fallen against him. He'll pit and will likely put on softs to try and get a different set of tires. That will work out in favor of Ollie and Mass. They should be able to both get ahead. Now Raptor is very firmly in the 3rd position, though. He is 7 seconds ahead of Zola. So yeah, it looks like almost all the positions on track are pretty much locked in at this point in the race. Lowe is now losing time to Torpedo. Torpedo is by him. And that's it for Lowe. Race is over. Win is over for him. He just needs to hope that he can stay about 2 seconds ahead of Raptor before we race in. Otherwise, he will be relegated to 3rd. So we saw Young Maneuver spin out on the 20-lap worn medium tires. Lowe's tires are at 19 laps of wear, so can he make these tires last to the end? If Lowe elected to pit and tried to go for throw soft tires on and remove the 5-second time penalty, he would be relegated to about 5th position. So right now, as it is, he just needs to kind of hoof it out with this set of rubber. But Raptor is closing. And Raptor also has the fastest lap of the day thus far with a 129.807 as well. All Raptor has to do is just be within 2 seconds of Lowe by race in, and he'll take 2nd from him. The gap is currently at 4.1 between Lowe and Raptor. And Zola is going to recover from a late race incident with Raptor to finish 4th by the looks of it. So good job on Zola's part, to say the least. Raptor now within 3.8 seconds of Lowe. He just needs to get within 2 seconds of your current second place driver. But the thing is, for Raptor, his soft tires are going to start falling off at about this point. The thing is, those tires are also falling off as well, so the gap is still about 4 seconds right now. Ollie, time penalty for track violations. This is the only battle on the track. The question is, how close can Raptor get to low before race in? But with 3 laps to go, Raptor needs to take off another 1.7 seconds. Oh, now down to 1.4 seconds. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I don't know if it will happen. It's now down to 1.3. Raptor seems to stall out at about 1.2 seconds behind somebody else. But the thing is, Raptor doesn't have to get 1.2 seconds behind low. He just needs to get 2 seconds behind him. If he can be within 2 seconds of the Ferrari by race in, he will take second from him. Now, it looks like Lowe, more than anything else, is falling off. I think those tires on his car are dying on him. He is losing a lot of ground to Torpedo right now. Raptor now 3.1 seconds out. Now 3 seconds out from Lowe. Raptor needs to close another second in these last 2 laps. Down to 9/10 at the line. Gap is now down to 2.3 seconds. If Raptor can get it down to less than 2 seconds between himself and Lowe, he'll take second. Torpedo is nearly 2.5 seconds ahead of Lowe, and then when you add time penalties as well, Torpedo is basically gone. Unless Torpedo had an accident or a spin, the race is over for the win. It's all about this fight for second right now. White flag is in the air. This is the last lap. Raptor is now within 2 seconds of Lowe. He needs to maintain it if he wants to finish second. Started on the pole. I think he still has fastest lap. Let me check here. Yes, he still has fastest lap as well. So it won't be a win, but he'll get basically every other accolade that you can today if he pulls this off. Gap's now down to 1.3 seconds. So yeah, assuming Raptor doesn't make a mistake, he'll get this. The drivers who I really feel kind of sorry for is CVTX Mask and Young Maneuver, fighting for the win most of the day, but spins late by both of them will relegate them out of even finishing in the top 6. Mass, that's really a pain because he ended up letting his teammate by, who's going to walk off with this victory. There's just 2 more corners. Now, 1 more corner left for this man here, XRL Torpedo. He didn't show his hand until the last part of the day, but when he went for it, he put on the soft tires on the final set of stops and flew up through the field, took the lead, walked away with it, and your winner here at Bahrain for XRL is going to be, in the Alpine, XRL Torpedo. Lowe will be the second driver across the line, but Raptor will be the one who actually finishes second. Lowe will finish third. Zola is going to come home to take home the 4th place position here. Right about now. And And then it will be level 6 Beastian who will finish 5th, Exo Ollie will finish 6th, CVTX Max will finish 7th, and Young Maneuver will finish 8th. Driver of the day, XRL Torpedo. You know what? I could somewhat agree with that. We're going to try and get our podium finishers into the party here. Not had any luck getting all of them in, but I'm trying to get them in. But there's your race winner. Okay, cool. Throw a copy of the game into the stands, why don't you? I guess that makes sense. Well, either way, a very interesting race. All right, coming into the party now is your race winner, Torpedo. XRL Torpedo, can you hear me? All right, Torpedo, make sure your audio is included. You spent most of today's race kind of in the midfield, but when it came down to it, you put on the right set of tires late in the event and ran off with the victory against the drivers who had dominated this race. How in the world did you know that strategy was the one to go with?
I did not know that was the right strategy to go with. I just got a bit lucky, I think, with other drivers having incidents.
Well, I don't know about that. You went out there and you ran down low with a fury like I have not seen anyone else do, and you just walked by him like nobody's business.
Yeah, I was like, when I was within DRS range with him, I just take it easy, just wait for that right moment, and that was it.
Alright, well, with this victory, I do want to say absolute great job. Last season, the two dominant manufacturers were Ferrari and Renault, which is now the Alpine team. Do you think that it looks like it's going to be the same thing this season with you winning the race and your teammate CVTX Max fighting for the win for the first 2/3 of the race?
Yeah.
Right. Well, unless you have anything else to say, I just want to say congratulations on that win.
Yeah, cheers.
Alright, I want to go ahead and talk to our 4th place finisher, XRL Zola. Zola, kind of a rough day, got involved in several other people's incidents on multiple times, but you ended up rebounding despite that late race spin that you had and came home 4th. How did you do that?
Can I just say, people, please stop throwing your cars at me. I had John threw his car at me at turn 1, spun it, and then basically his car just landed right in front of me, and I ended up going to the gravel to stop hitting him. I ended up having to avoid John again at the, what was it, after he had an incident with CVT, and I ended up going flying because of that with Ollie, and then for 45, and then I also had Ryan go off at turn 12 right in front of me, and I actually ended up having to go super deep into the corner and spun it into the wall. And then I had to avoid somebody else. I have no idea who the hell it was. I went from P4 to P15, back to P5, and I binned it myself and went back to P14, then come back into P5, then took out with a CVT incident and come back to P4. This thing, none of this stuff in this race was me. It was everybody else around me. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and literally everybody threw their car at me. For once, it wasn't low.
Right.
There is one question I do have that you didn't mention, though. In the last 20 laps, shortly after the final restart, you had a little bit of an incident there with Raptor, where you both got really sideways, and then Ollie spun out as well.
Yeah, it was CVT. Made contact with Raptor. Raptor spun in front of me. I collected Raptor, and Ollie collected me. And it's because of one person, and it will be looked at after the instance. Need to be spoken to, because they're going to, that will be going to the stewards for damn sure, because 3 cars got took out because of one person.
Alright, well, you still end up coming home and finishing 4th, so congratulations on that part. While the game elected to give Torpedo Driver of the Day, I personally think it would be you, considering how many times you had to fight back from incidents.
That's cool. I think it is Torpedo because they come back from 14th to finish on the podium. I mean, he has got stuff going on in the middle of the race as well that hasn't happened, but at the moment he has a podium. The thing is, I think me and Raptor and Torpedo had really good races, considering what actually happened to us in the race itself.
Indeed.
And we managed to come
100%.
through it. But it was good fun. But the problem is for me, it's literally I've done 22 races this season, and this is my 4th position.
Curse of the 4th.
I'm just going to call myself XRLP4.
Well, I do want to say congratulations, Zola, on coming home 4th from a very, very difficult day.
So thank you.
And now I want to go ahead and turn our focus to our 3rd place finisher, XRL Low. Low, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Without a doubt, Low, the lead on the first lap. And you were dominant all day long today. And then at the very end, everything went wrong. You finished 3rd. From your perspective, walk us through your day today.
It was a good race. That's for sure. The car had way too much downforce. I didn't really realize that until basically halfway through the race when I noticed that everyone was flying by me at one point. Or like, at least it seemed like. Because I had no straightaway speed. So, that was just a big problem. But, overall, it was a decent race. Still gotta report something. Hopefully it goes through and I'll move up a little bit, but at the moment we'll take it.
Alright, Low, so there is one other thing I just want to point out. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. Going through Sector 3, I saw you do this against CVTX Mask. I saw you do this against Raptor.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you do this against Young Maneuver. You'd go down the non-DRS straightaway.
Yeah.
You'd see that they were faster, and you'd pull aside, slow down to let them by, so you could use the DRS to get by them right after. And you did that at least 10 different times today. That was deadass. That was honestly one of the most impressive and genius things I think I've seen in Formula, in obviously game, not real life, but absolutely genius. Did you have that? When did you kind of come up with that strategy and that play to use them?
I've learned that from some of the people that I've raced with on 5-lappers. So there's some kind of things that you need to take into consideration, especially on Bahrain. And I knew I was in a slower car, so I had to take advantage. And there was at one point where it was Young Maneuver. He knew what I was doing, and he slowed down with me. And I was like, damn it! So there's a time when you can do it to somebody who really just wants to get by. You can see that they want to really get by. So those are the times where I was pushing as hard as I could. But all the other times, I just noticed that I had no speed. So I had to make up my mind quick on the race. That's for sure.
Alright, and now there's one other question I want to ask Lo. Last week, when you came into the interview booth, you were steaming mad and very, very direct about the fact that the driving standards you felt were extremely low. Do you still feel that applies today?
I think in the heat of the moment, you say things that you don't really understand until later. So at the moment right now, no. You know what? A lot of people were driving fine, and I feel like maybe I got a little gutsy during that race. I took it on a personal level because it was Canada, and I was gonna win that race. And there was just so many safety cars and so many issues and so many problems that took away my race. So yeah, you know what I mean? You're gonna see this Ferrari as the season goes on. You're gonna see the Ferrari struggle on these long courses. It's gonna struggle a little bit, but on these really tight ones, I'm gonna be able to push away sometimes. So we'll see.
Okay, now I just want to ask you the same question that I asked Torpedo, although now on the Ferrari side rather than the Alpine Renault side. Last season, we saw that the dominant two teams were the Renault and the Ferrari teams. It looks like after last week and today, the same thing is playing out. Do you think it's going to be that way to the season end? That it's going to be Renault versus Alpine versus Ferrari for the Manufacturers' Championship?
It depends. It depends on who gets faster and who gets slower and who gets moved, because it looks like some people are super dominant at the moment. So, you know what I mean? Some things got to be taken into consideration at the moment. But for at this moment, like right now, I feel like it's pretty fair. But you know what I mean? Some things need to be looked at and then, discussed, and then we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the season. I don't even know if I'll still be in a Ferrari by the end of the season, so we'll see, right?
All right. Well, I do want to say thank you very much for being willing to talk with us. And now there's one more driver I want to talk to. Raptor. Dominated Q1, dominated Q2, dominated Q3. You dominated Q3 so hard that you pulled a Sebastian Vettel at Singapore and retired from Q3 early because you were so confident in it. Get off from the line and spin in turn 1 on the first lap. Walk us through your race from that point on.
Well, I knew, and thank you for making mention of the fact Q3 was Q1, Q2, and Q3 were a huge confidence boost, because I came into this race today knowing that Lowe was going to be the man to beat, at least in terms of on a confidence level and a pride level. I knew he was going to be the man to beat, so it was important that I established myself early. I knew that I was going to be under threat from Lowe at the start, and I'll take that one into my own hands and say that I was a little bit too aggressive off the start. I was out of position going into turn 2. Lost traction, unfortunately did spin. Thankfully I didn't take anyone else in the field out, but it's just a situation. I think I'll be honest.
Oh, 1 second. Broadcast is still going. We're going to get Raptor back in here shortly. I apologize for that. It seemed like he may have gotten kicked. Yeah, Raptor, can you hear us? Alright. Yeah, I don't know either, but the broadcast is still going, so go ahead and include your audio and continue on. Alright, we know you had that spin on lap 1, then you spun again about 4 laps later. You were buried outside the points paying positions. How in the world did you recover from that to fighting for the win? Okay, now, I'm just going to go ahead and say what a lot of other people have hinted at but not outright said. You went ahead and you took fastest lap point for this race with about 10 laps to go today. There were drivers who came in, pitted, whom they basically had no fuel left in their car in the final 3 laps, and they couldn't even come close to the times you set. You were, without a doubt, faster than anyone else on track all day today, and only because of your own misfortune, you didn't walk off with this victory. So, now I have to go ahead and say, we're still relatively early in the season. There's still possibilities that drivers may get moved to other cars. And you seem to be one of the drivers who may likely get moved into a different, slower vehicle. How prepared do you think you will be if you get called down to a slower vehicle, say the McLaren, the Ferrari, or something like that? And you believe that you'd be prepared to move into what would basically be the third different kind of Formula One car in what may be as few as 3 months' time. Alright, well that's bold words considering you have yet to win XRL event thus far, although you have taken home a pole and a fastest lap today. Anything else you want to say before we go ahead and wrap the broadcast up? Alright, well thank you. Also, we will be looking forward to you next week at Russia. And to those of you watching, there are no other XRL races this weekend, sadly. However, next weekend, XRL will be coming back and we'll be running at Russia in the Russian Grand Prix. It's going to get very interesting. A circuit known for, within the F1 games at least, having massive oversized accidents in Turn 1 because Turn 1 is death there. But until that time, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. I want to wish you all farewell.